2018 Mookie Betts didn't just beat his opponents, he humiliated them. With explosive power, elite defense, and blazing speed, he was the player coaches dreamed of having while opponents feared. He acted as the heartbeat of the Boston Red Sox, navigating them through their most successful season in over a century, collecting the batting title, the Gold Glove, and MVP in the process. So what made 2018 Mookie so special, and why is it likely that we will never see a more complete season ever again? Well, his historic campaign was actually fueled by the disappointment from the year before. In 2017, he entered the season with sky-high expectations after finishing as the runner-up to MVP in 2016. But he struggled to replicate his production, experiencing a significant decrease in his slash line. Then, as playoffs started, the team looked lost without their former leader David Ortiz, who retired the year prior. As a result of this, they were quickly eliminated by the Houston Astros. Though, despite their early exit, there was still reason for optimism heading into 2018, as the majority of Boston's young core was still under contract. The next step was to complement them with the right manager, because while John Farrell had enjoyed success as Sox skipper, winning the 2013 World Series title, then back-to-back division victories in 2016 and 17, his teams faltered in the postseason, suffering first-round exits both years. On top of this, the front office felt as though the players on the team underachieved relative to its talent. So 2 days after their crushing defeat to the Houston Astros in 2017, his contract was terminated, opening the door for first-time manager Alex Cora. He was the bench coach for the Astros and was the most sought-after managerial candidate in the league. He had a strong baseball mind, was analytically driven, and most importantly was well-respected everywhere he went thanks to his strong leadership skills, shifting the team culture from a lack of cohesion to one that emphasized energy, which Mookie was able to thrive in. During spring training, he became more vocal, encouraged younger players, and most importantly, kept the clubhouse relaxed but also focused. His growth as a leader helped create a confident group that from day one believed they were going to be the team to beat. To kick off the new season, the Sox were a force to be reckoned with, winning 17 of their first 19 games after outscoring their opponents by 70 runs. The reason behind their success was thanks to a full team effort each and every night. It also quickly became clear that Mookie's struggles from the previous season were behind him. Through April, he already had 11 doubles, 8 homers, and was hitting an incredible .344 with an over 1100 OPS. He was seeing the ball perfectly out of the pitcher's hand, with perhaps his most impressive game from the opening month coming against the Los Angeles Angels on April 17th. The Angels also had a superstar outfielder by the name of Mike Trout, the face of the league, often compared to all-time greats like Ted Williams, and was already a 2-time MVP winner. With that being said, 10 talent evaluators begged the question of Betts or Trout. At this point, Trout was still at the top of his game, which makes it no surprise that he took home 7 of the votes. But at the end of the article, it concluded that Trout has the edge for sure, but Betts is closing in fast. Well, over his 3-game set in LA, he continued to narrow the gap. In Game 1, he homered off 3 different pitchers: Shohei Ohtani, Luke Bard, and Cam Bedrosian. For good measure, he added another during the series finale off Nick Tropiano. His efforts helped the Sox sweep the series by a combined score of 27-3, sheer domination. It seemed like nothing could stop him. On April 25th, he played hero again with 2 crucial home runs. On May 2nd, he posted another 3-homer game, and on May 22nd, his 3-run shot helped lift the Sox over their division rivals. It was Mookie's world, we were all just living in it. After the first 52 games of the season, he was tied for the league lead in homers with 17, held the highest batting average at .359, and OPS at 1187. Though it was just a third of the way through the season, many were quick to say he was having one of the greatest starts in Red Sox history. That's how dominant he was, but at this point, his whole season was put into question when an abdominal strain forced him to miss time. Sure, it was classified as minor, but an injury like this can linger even after the player returns to sport. You see, the core acts as the engine of the swing. It's where a hitter generates torque and transfers energy from the legs through the upper body. Even a small abdominal strain can weaken bat speed, reduce exit velocity on batted balls, and make it painful to swing with full force. That's why there was no telling if he would be able to keep up his early season dominance. And when he did come back, it took some time to get going. He experienced the worst month of his season, hitting only 3 homers and driving in 4 runs in June. But what's crazy is that during this time, he still walked more than he struck out, had a .290 batting average, and an OPS a tad below 900. That would be a career month for many big league players, not for Mookie though. And right when the calendar flipped to July, his production soared, with no moment bigger than his contributions against the Toronto Blue Jays on July 12th. To start the game, Jays starting pitcher J.A. Happ had his number, getting him to line out in his first at-bat, then ground out in his second. With his impact on the game held in check, the Jays were able to storm in front with a 2-0 lead entering the bottom of the 4th. This is when the Sox's bats finally started to come alive, cutting the Jays' lead to just 1 run from a Sandy Leon RBI groundout, and were threatening for more as Mookie stepped up to the plate for the 3rd time with the bases loaded. For the season, he hit an astronomically high .407 when facing a starting pitcher for the 3rd time in a game. Couple this with Happ already at 36 pitches in the inning meant it wouldn't have been a surprise to see the Jays tap into their bullpen, but instead they kept him on the mound, and the two embarked on one of the most memorable at-bats in recent history. To start off, he quickly fell behind with 1 ball and 2 strikes. For the 2018 season, the league-wide average was a mere 174 in this type of situation, which would give you the idea that Happ was in control, but that stat doesn't paint the whole picture, because Mookie was the best 2-strike hitter in baseball that season with a .301 average. He was ready to battle. He hit foul ball after foul ball after foul ball, ultimately working the count full on the 12th pitch. At this point, the crowd started to get on their feet, realizing what was unfolding in front of them was something special.
You know, it's always an advantage to the batter the more pitches you see.
High deep drive! He crushed it! It's a grand slam!
Boy, that's as excited as I've ever seen him.
One of the most electrifying at-bats of the season.
Just the way the Red Sox are going, it was time to party again, I'm telling you.
On the 13th pitch of the at-bat, Mookie sent a rocket over the monster, lifting the Sox over the Jays 5-2 in the inning, knocking Happ out of the game, and siphoning all of the momentum from the third base dugout. In the end, these were all the runs they would need to close out the game.
To do it, Mookie Betts is under. That's poetic. He's the man who hit the grand slam that we're going to remember all summer long.
By now, everyone around the league was aware of his dominant presence in the batter's box. But that wasn't the only side of his game which was elite. Sure, he could hit homers for fun, but he could also take them away.
Back. Deep to right, Betts there leaping at the wall. Mookie Betts made the catch.
This home run robbery highlighted a multitude of defensive web gems he made that year. He showed off his leather with many leaping catches at the wall, utilized his speed to track down fly balls with ease, and his arm strength to gun down runners trying to advance. It was without question that at the plate or in the field, Mookie was the one player you did not want to see lining up against you, especially with a historic milestone in sight for him as September began. At this point in the season, each number he had produced was already video game-esque. But there were 2 figures he looked to improve. His home runs and stolen bases sitting at 29 and 26 respectively. With a month left in the season, joining the elusive 30-30 club was possible. He reached the tally for homers with a towering 3-run shot at Yankee Stadium, inching him closer to this special feat, with 1 more stolen base needed to make history.
Here's the throw down. Tag is safe. Mookie Betts has stolen his 30th base. He is a 30-30 man. The second Red Sox in the history of this franchise to do it.
Jacoby Ellsbury and Mookie Betts.
As the announcer mentioned, he joined Jacoby Ellsbury as the only Sox players to ever eclipse this mark. An incredible accomplishment to cap off an even more incredible regular season. He won the batting title with a .346 average, had a 1,078 OPS, and managed 84 extra base hits. He did it all. There is a phrase in baseball called the 5 tools, that being the ability to hit for a high average, hit for power, steal bases, play good defense, and have a strong arm. It's quite rare for a player to excel in all 5 tools, yet Mookie showcased he was one of the few. His performance was instrumental to the Sox's regular season dominance, winning the most games in franchise history at 108 to take home their third straight division crown.
The Red Sox are one strike away. It's inside the stadium already. 2-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. And the Red Sox are kings of the American League East for a franchise record third year in a row.
The scenes in the locker room that day were full of smiles, alcohol, and probably some other stuff too. It was their first real break since the start of the season, but they understood the jubilation they experienced that day couldn't linger, because once Game 162 finished, the true gauntlet began. For the best of 5 divisional series, the Sox welcomed their longtime foes, the New York Yankees. A rivalry built upon more than a century of bad blood, iconic moments, and October heartbreak. This wasn't just a regular playoff matchup, it was going to be another chapter in baseball's most bitter feud. Entering the series, the Sox were the favorites, but don't get it twisted, this Yankees team still won 100 games in the regular season and cruised past the Oakland Athletics in the wild card round. It was Goliath versus Goliath, and only one would survive.
2-0 to Martinez, pulls one deep left field. Is it high enough? It is gone! It just sneaks over the monster! And a 3-run bomb! J.D. Martinez puts the Red Sox on the board first. To make changes, and he delivers. Pierce with a base hit. Betts is in the score. Corners, one away. And Bogarts lines one to right. Judge is there. He's got it. Tagging Benintendi. Throw to the plate is late.
With the bat, Mookie was held relatively in check. With that being said, he still managed a leadoff double in the 3rd inning, later coming around to score off a Steve Pearce single. Instead, his most eye-catching play happened on the defensive side of the game.
Long run is caught by Betts, and the throw to first, not in time. Oh, what a play. Man, to even have a chance at a double play there is so impressive.
Fractions of a second separated what was almost a jaw-dropping double play. He didn't even have time to think. He caught the ball, spun around, and fired a bullet towards first base with barely even a look. Now, Gleyber Torres was able to beat the throw back to the bag, and it took away just how impressive the catch was in the first place, because not every right fielder would have been able to track it down. And if the ball had found outfield grass, who's to say the inning wouldn't have ended differently? Instead of Aaron Judge grounding out to end the frame, he would have had 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out, a situation which could have drastically changed the outcome of the game. But thanks to Mookie's quick feet, he was able to keep the Yankees' bats in check and help his team take the lead in the series, although this advantage wouldn't last long.
High drive, way back, deep left center field, goodbye! There's a drive into left center field. Sanchez is watching, this ball's flying! 3-run blast out of Fenway Park, all the way out. On the ground, got a chance to turn it here. This one in the game, it goes 6-4-3, and that's the ball game, and the Yankees steal one on the road.
Heading to New York with the series knotted up, Yankees fans were confident they would soon be eliminating their rivals. Instead, what actually unfolded was the biggest playoff loss in their franchise's history. Things started slow. The Sox scored 1 run in the 2nd, then 2 more in the 3rd. It wasn't until the 4th inning before they blew it wide open. Every batter in the lineup pounced on the Yankees pitchers. First Luis Severino, then Lance Lynn, and finally Chad Green. They had to use 3 pitchers just to get through the inning, but even then it wasn't enough to limit their bats. As they extended their lead to 10 runs, the scoreline continued to get ugly as they tacked on 6 more to make it the Yankees' worst margin of defeat in over 400 playoff games. Not something the 40+ thousand fans in attendance were hoping for. And their misery continued the very next evening as the Sox said goodnight to their arch rivals.
Here he comes, the 1-2. Bouncing ball, going to be a tough play. Nunez gloves, throws, and in time for the out. And the Boston Red Sox are headed to the American League Championship Series.
Defeating the Yankees, humiliating the Yankees at their home stadium was not only a statement of superiority over them, but a message to the rest of the league that they weren't going to rest until they were crowned champions.
When it's go time, we're ready to go, and you got to play 27 outs. You got to beat us, or we're going to beat you.
In the championship series, they squared off against the reigning World Series winners, the Houston Astros. Now, unlike their title-winning squad, their offense wasn't their biggest attribute. It was actually their pitching. Starting pitchers Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, and Charlie Morton were a feared trio which had the ability to shut down any team's lineup. Not to mention their bullpen was also among the best in the game. The Sox would learn this the hard way as Verlander and company were able to ease past their bats, winning Game 1 comfortably 7-2. This loss could have been seen in two ways, either as a sign that they were out of their depth against a juggernaut like the Astros, or as a wake-up call, a chance to regroup and come back stronger. How they chose to interpret it was up to them. For Mookie, the decision was simple. It was time to turn up. From the first pitch of the game, he was ready to fight back, enjoying a dominant yet quiet performance. You see, he didn't hit a game-winning home run or make a game-saving catch. Instead, he was the catalyst for the lineup. In the opening frame, he kicked things off with a double against Garrett Cole, which helped set the tone early as they took a quick 2-0 advantage. Then in the 7th, with the score now 5-4, he drew a leadoff walk on 6 pitches. This wasn't just an ordinary walk though. Lance McCullers had just entered the game and was erratic during the plate appearance. With this in mind, Mookie was ready at first in case another pitch got away from the catcher.
Yeah, that's a swing and a miss. Gets away from Maldonado. Betts will end up at second base.
Now at second, the Sox were threatening to extend their lead with a single, putting even more pressure on McCullers, who was already beginning to unravel.
That gets away from Maldonado, and Betts on his way to third.
With yet another pass ball, two pitchers quickly got up for the Astros, but with little time to prepare, they were unable to save their flailing pitcher.
Here is Xander Bogaerts, and that's going to skip away. Here comes Betts, and no throw. Betts is in.
Walk, wild pitch, pass ball, pass ball. Not the most routine way to score. This was a massive insurance run to put the Sox up by 2, but just for good measure, Mookie helped tack on another the following inning with a 2-out double to center field to firmly put the game out of reach. Tying the series at 1 apiece was crucial heading to Houston because the year prior they went 8-1 in their home playoff games, even if they did get a little help. With this in mind, the players understood their ticket past the Astros was to beat them by doing the simple things right, such as being smart on the base paths, pitching their elite bats with confidence, and playing elite defense, Mookie's specialty.
He's hit by Kemp, and he's thinking about 2, and he's on his way. Betts is thrown to second, the 10, he is out at second. Altuve, right field, back there. Betts at the track, he leaps, and it is out.
Might have left the yard and Mookie not touched it. Ball is out. He's out. What a break for the Red Sox.
Lights out on the mound. Bregman hits Allen hard into right field. Mookie Betts on the run, near the wall, leaps up, and he makes the catch. Almost a carbon copy from yesterday.
With a little help from his quick feet, his powerful arm, and video review, Mookie was an eyesore in right field for the Astros, single-handedly taking runs off the board, and as a result, sent the reigning champions packing.
On the run, he's got it, and the Boston Red Sox are headed to the World Series.
Every player was overcome with joy as they rushed the field in celebration, but when the dust settled and the cameras turned toward Mookie, his demeanor stood out.
What's running through your mind right now?
It's just step 2 of our 3-step process.
Despite winning the American League pennant and with an interviewer oozing with emotion right in front of him, Mookie remained calm as ever, reminding everyone that the job was still far from over. Their final test would soon be upon them, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Two ball clubs with rich history. Sandy Koufax to Jackie Robinson, Ted Williams to Carl Yastrzemski, yet despite the storied history within the two franchises, they had rarely crossed paths. In fact, they only faced each other once in October, dating back more than a century. But that was all in the past. Now it was time to write history. The Dodgers' Game 1 starter, Clayton Kershaw, was in the prime of his career, holding a .239 ERA through his first 11 seasons, the best mark since 1920. Safe to say, it wasn't going to be an easy challenge for the Sox's bats. That said, sometimes all it takes is one guy to step up without fear, and show the rest of the team that he was beatable. Being the leadoff man, that was Mookie's job.
That's into center. Base hit for Betts, and he's on to start the night for Boston.
A base hit. It didn't drive in a run, but it impacted the mental side of the game drastically. He showed his teammates that Kershaw could be beat, and it also ignited the Fenway crowd, something no opposing pitcher wants to happen. That was another way to get an edge over Kershaw.
Year, there goes Betts. A late swing, and a throw down to second gets into center on a steal by Mookie Betts.
On the first pitch of Andrew Benintendi's at-bat, Mookie broke for a second, fortunately evading the tag, as Manny Machado was unable to pick the ball off the hop. Now in scoring position, the Sox had 3 chances to score the opening run, but they'd only need 1.
Right side, base hit. Here comes Betts. Queen comes up throwing. Throw no good, too high. Down to second, Benintendi. 1-0 Boston in the first.
The floodgates were officially open. They added to their lead with another RBI single, this time off the bat of JD Martinez. And by the 6th, Kershaw was already out of the game after allowing 5 earned runs, all they would need to take the opener.
Red Sox win game 1.
Boston's domination wasn't surprising. It was the collective team effort from a group that overmatched the Dodgers in all facets of the game, which made it no surprise when they went on to wrap up the series with ease.
From the top on down, here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series! 5-1 the final tonight, and the best team in baseball wins it all in 2018.
Winning the World Series was a moment Mookie had dreamt of since he was a little kid. He couldn't help but be overcome with emotion.
You came up with this team. You've seen this organization win championships, but now you're a part of it this year. Describe what that's like.
It's just amazing just to know that I'm a part of history. And, that's why we play the game, to win a World Series, and we did it.
The 2017 season left the Sox with uncertainty. It was their 2nd straight year getting bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Nobody stepped up as leader after Ortiz, and they fired their manager. Yet, through all the adversity the organization faced, they were able to overcome everything thanks in major part to Mookie. He stepped up as a quiet leader in the clubhouse, opting to lead by example over anything. He always arrived on time, made sure to be diligent even with the small things, and during games, nobody worked harder. This focus helped him achieve one of the most well-rounded seasons in MLB history. Offensively, he wore down pitchers with his ability to hit for great power, high average, and steal a good amount of bases. Defensively, he was also among the elite in his position, ranking towards the top in numerous stats such as defensive runs saved. He was the heart and soul of the Red Sox roster. With that being said though, his playoff numbers were a bit underwhelming, with just 1 homer and a .210 average in 14 games. But despite his low production, his presence was still felt throughout the competition. In fact, some of the Sox's biggest innings began with him simply getting on base. And defensively, he delivered several jaw-dropping plays. For these reasons, 2018 Mookie Betts was such a demon to play against, because even when he wasn't at his best at the plate, he was still impacting the game in numerous other ways. That's why it came as no shock when he took home the American League MVP, besting Trout with 28 of 30 first-place votes, dethroning the all-time great as the best outfielder in the game. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please consider subscribing for more awesome content just like this. Also, if you would like to learn why one of the game's most powerful hitters was forced to retire early, leaving behind a career destined for more than 500 home runs and potentially an entry into the Hall of Fame, then click the video on your screen to find out more.